Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. This is the LFU's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangoes of South Florida. And today's date is Sunday, February 17th, 2019. So let us begin. Hey, thanks for tuning in, my friends. Just a little bit mellowed right now, Sunday morning in the heart of the New River District of Fort Lauderdale, from downtown Saluna. Cool little historical landmark. Used to be considered a speakeasy or a bootlegging facility during the Prohibition era. So I'm just kicking back, mellowed out. Not too bad right now. Folks roaming around, saying good morning. Yeah, I was just going through some of the stuff here. I'm like, they got so much boring crap. You should look up the whole digisexual movement. Try to get the United Nations involved in the Human Rights Charter stating that they want to have sex with artificial companions. Yeah, it sounds like Anton LaVey's essay about artificial companions is coming to light. Be a big market for that. Many people aren't too thrilled. Can affect humanity for sure. So I'm going to go a little political here. Oh, what the hell. And it's mainly, I like to see what these neo-quacks have to say. It came from the town hall. New Attorney General needs to clean house by Jeff Corey. Came out past midnight today. This here, with the confirmation of William Barr as the new U.S. Attorney General, there is hope that the Department of Justice can regain some of his reputation that has been lost in the last few years. What the hell this guy came from? Is he under a rock? I'll continue. Once viewed as a fair and respected law enforcement agency, DOJ is now seen as a hotbed of anti-Trump Democratic Party activism. In the 2016 election, the Hill reported that an outstanding 97% of the DOJ employees' contributions were given to Hillary Clinton, while Donald Trump received only 3%. The liberal direction of the DOJ is nothing new. In the Obama administration, then Attorney General Eric Holder was a liberal activist instead of a nation's top law enforcement officer. Holder infamously labeled America a nation of cowards for not having the courage to discuss race relations. How boring is that, folks? We all know that Eric Holder, some wannabe hotshot from the Bronx, Palmolivis indeed, is nothing more than a freedom-hating douchebag as well. And I will proceed. Thereafter, he spent his entire tenure obsessively focused on race. It was certainly a questionable decision when his department decided not to prosecute members of the Black Panthers who were threatening voters and armed with a weapon at a precinct in Philadelphia. Correction, the new Black Panther Party. Please get your facts straight. He made sure there was no investigation to ever touch President Obama, since he promised to be his wingman. His successor, Loretta Lynch, which we all know she's a bend-over Barbie to the New World Order, and of course she supports Strong Cities Network, never adequately clarified why she met with former President Bill Clinton on the airport tarmac in Phoenix during the midst of an FBI investigation into his wife. The explanation that they discussed grandchildren in golf has always been patently ridiculous. Days after this suspicious meeting, the then FBI Director James Comey inexplicably excused Hillary Clinton from prosecution, even though she sent classified and top secret emails on an unsecured server and illegally scrubbed over 30,000 emails from her computer. For good measure, she made sure to have her computer sanitized with bleach and bleach bit, and her cell phones broken into pieces with a hammer. The fact that she was not charged with the crime is an ongoing stain upon the integrity of the Department of Justice. Sadly, it did not get any better when President Trump was elected. His initial pick for Attorney Jeff Sessions was a coward who did not stand up to the deep state operatives throughout his department. He recused himself from the Russian investigation and let his underling deputy, General Rodstein, take control of the department. After Comey was fired as FBI director, it was Rodstein who chose former FBI director Robert Mueller to be his special counsel and led an investigation to supposed Russian collusion in the 2016 election. After almost 2 years, nothing has been discovered to link President Trump to Russian collusion. There is no smoking gun, no evidence, yet the special counsel's office has been busy charging a variety of Trump associates with crimes that extend into their past and deal with other activities such as lying to the FBI or Congress. But if you're Robert Mueller, you can lie to Congress during a weapons of mass destruction. You are considered exceptional. I will proceed. During the tenure of Mueller as special counsel, his office methods have been thuggish, to say least. For example, it has shocked and appalled Americans to learn that Mueller sent FBI agents to arrive at pre-dawn to the raid homes of Paul Manafort and more recently Roger Stone. I still never got that letter from Sheriff Gregory Tony if he gave permission to FBI on raiding Roger Stone's home. If so, I will keep you posted. These are the tactics used to arrest drug lords and terrorists, not political consultants who are not a threat to flee the country or a danger to their fellow Americans. Incredibly, there are more FBI agents involved in the raid of Roger Stone than the number of Navy SEALs deployed in the raid of Osama bin Laden's compound in Pakistan. Many people believe, like myself, that was only a decoy. Osama bin Laden was considered dead around 2002. But they call it a conspiracy theory, of course. Clearly, the heavy-handed tactics were used to intimidate Manafort and Stone and send a message to others who may be under investigation to call to testify in his ongoing probe. Because of such abuses, Attorney General Barr should immediately close down the Mueller investigation and demand a report be made public. The American people need to see what the Mueller team, filled with liberal attorneys and donors to Democratic Party candidates, has accomplished since May 2017 while spending millions of taxpayers' dollars. After ending the Mueller probe, Barr should fire the remaining deep state operatives insert throughout the Department of Justice, notably Rosenstein, and the DOJ official Bruce Orr, who has been demoted but still is employed. Incredibly, Orr has retained a position even though it was discovered that his wife Nellie was hired to investigate then-candidate Donald Trump by the discredited strategic intelligence firm Fusion GPS. Barr inherits a department filled with anti-Trump officials that have authorized an ongoing witch hunt launched to negate the outcome of the 2016 election. If Barr does not take dramatic action, it will be business as usual at the department no longer known for fairness or justice. Well, to be very sincere, they should never have confirmed Mr. Barr, because the man hates freedom. He's anti-Bill of Rights, period. And many people even defended that he even defended the snipers that were involved in Ruby Ridge. Yeah. He was a member, he was in the cabinet of George Herbert Walker Bush. A new world order. And that piece of garbage is dead. That's how I look at Mr. Barr. How authentic this man is. Will he honor his oath of office? Based on past history, he has no merit. Of course, you got some folks here who said that there's a good reason to expect Barr to do what Sessions didn't try to do. I hope so, but I don't expect it. Of course. Someone says here, Judicial Watch has found a few details through their investigations that should have been done by the DOJ. They have been doing their job. Of course. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of these people need to be thrown in jail, including William Barr, because he is a treasonous individual. That President Trump has too many clowns for advisors. And I'm not really too thrilled about this man. And it's funny because a lot of these individuals, mostly all the Democrats, voted against him. And it's really funny. They have a lot in common. They hate freedom too. So the many Republicans, except for Rand Paul, voted against him. Which I agree with him. I thank him for that. I did wrote a correspondence to Marco, Glambar, Rubio, and Flip-Flop Rick Scott, congratulating them on choosing poorly. Being demoniac has its benefits. Because like I told him before, he's a Bill of Rights hater, not a supporter. A federalized hack. The ACLU is about getting ready to go to court against anything that Attorney General Barr will do. Don't worry, friends. We got the 10th Amendment. We could nullify. Give him the big middle finger like we did to the Keebler man, Jeff Sessions. Interesting here in Political Magazine, Swamp Diary from week 91, Mueller's case for collusion comes into view by Jack Schaefer, came out yesterday. With the hand barely pressing his pencil and paper, Special Counsel Robert Mueller III, began sketching his case for the Trump campaign collusion with the Russians in a new Friday court filing related to Roger Stone's prosecution for lying to Congress. Until Friday, Mueller's team has been coy about directly connecting any Trump campaign associates to a 12-member Russian GRU military intelligence team it indicted in July 2018 for hacking emails from the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton presidential campaign. It has secured guilty pleas from such scandal participants as former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, Trump campaign executive Rick Gates, campaign backbencher George Papadopoulos, and others, and convicted campaign director Paul Manafort on an array of financial fraud charges connecting to the politicking and lobbying for pro-Russian politicians in Ukraine. But the two seemingly parallel investigations never really intersected. Self-described dirty trickster Stone, who worked on the early Trump campaign and remained close to Trump and his aides after departing, wanted the court to say the investigations were separate. He requested a new judge, saying the charges against him had nothing to do with the Russian hackers case, also being prosecuted before Judge Amy Berman Jackson. But the judge tossed Stone's request, accepting Mueller's line of argument that Stone directly interacted with Russians and Julian Assange's WikiLeaks, the middleman for the hacked emails. Yes, there's a train behind me, but don't worry about it. Now, the two investigations are one. What remains to be gleaned is how wide and deep, the Trump campaign's connections to the Russians WikiLeaks were. Previous Mueller filings had noted Stone's attempt to contact WikiLeaks leader Julian Assange through intermediaries, hoping to learn what sort of politically potent document he might have, but Stone has steadfastly denied any contact with Russia or WikiLeaks. That's a lie, Mueller's new filing says, citing evidence obtained in a dozen of search warrants on various accounts used to facilitate the transfer of stolen documents for release. It claims Stone's communicate with WikiLeaks, referred to as Organization 1 in the filing, and Guccifer 2.0, a Russian intelligence alias used to spread the hacks. Who else did Stone talk about the WikiLeaks dump? Last month's Stone indictment had him informing senior Trump campaign officials between June and July 2016 that WikiLeaks possessed hacked emails that could damage the Clinton candidacy. Then came WikiLeaks' first release of Democratic emails on July 26, 2016, followed by the Trump's campaign request for more. This artfully constructed sentence in the Stone indictment has birthed millions of speculations that President Trump was among the requesters. A senior Trump campaign official directed to contact Stone about any additional releases and what other damaging information Organization 1 had regarding the Clinton campaign. The indictment reads, Would anybody be in a position to direct a senior Trump campaign official but Trump himself? Lightly traced but still visible, Mueller has drawn a possible line from Trump to a campaign aide to Stone to WikiLeaks to end the Russians. Inside the White House, Trump must be screaming for an eraser. In the Manafort case, Mueller roughed up the convict with explicit language in a sentencing memorandum filed Friday. Manafort acted for more than a decade as if he were above the law and deprived the federal government and various financial institutions of millions of dollars. Mueller stated, given the breadth of Manafort's criminal activity, the government has not located a comparable case with a unique array of crimes and aggravating factors. Under federal sentencing guidelines, Manafort could get 19 to 24.5 years in prison, essentially life sentence for a 69-year-old. Mueller looked like a merciful New Testament toting Christian in comparison to Judge Jackson in the Manafort matter. Her February 13th hearing, in which she examined the special counsel's charge that Manafort had lied after promising cooperation, was released in redacted form on Friday. The judge rejected Manafort's attorney's assertion that confusion and not lies were behind the stream of bogus information Manafort had fed Mueller. My concern isn't with non-answers for simply denials, but the times he affirmatively advanced a detailed alternative story that was inconsistent with the facts. The lies followed a pattern, too, the judge said. Concessions come in dribs and drabs only after it's clear that the official office of the special counsel already knew the answer. Again, it's part of the pattern of requiring the office of the special counsel to pull teeth, withholding facts if it get away with it. The judge singled out the way Manafort had lied about his interactions with Konstantin V. Kilimnik, Manafort's former employee and believed by Mueller to be a Russian intelligence asset, calling it a problematic attempt to shield his Russian conspirator from liability and gives rise to legitimate questions about where his loyalties lie. You see a bunch of double standards here. Oh my goodness. Manafort originally claimed to have spoken only once with Kilimnik about the Ukrainian peace plan at the Great Havana Room Cigar joint in New York on August 2nd, 2016, before he was fired from the Trump campaign. But Manafort eventually conceded that he discussed the peace plan 3 additional times against prosecutors, showed him evidence of other meetings. Why these lies? What was he hiding? Become the question engaged and enraged Judge Jackson. We've now spent considerable time talking about multiple clusters of false or misleading or incomplete or indeed to be prodded by counsel statements, all of which center around defendant's relationship or communications with Mr. Kilmanick. He said, "This topic is at the undisputed core of the Office of Special Counsel's investigation, where Democrats now calling the investigative shots in the House of Representatives." House Oversight Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings made news on Friday with a letter to the White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, claiming evidence that two Trump attorneys had lied to government ethics officials about Michael Cohen's hush money payments to women allegedly affairs with Trump before the 2016 election. Yeah, but we all know about Elijah Cummings, nothing more than a freedom-hating douchebag. That's exceptional, right? Absolutely. This raises significant questions about why some of the president's closest advisors made these false claims and the extent to which two were acting out of the direction of or in coordination with the president. Cummings wrote, Trump's attorney has denied that Trump owed money to Cohen in 2016 and 2017, but the story evolved after Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani said in a TV interview that Trump had paid Cohen as part of a retainer. After we sort out the whole Russian mess, the task will be assigned to someone to tally up the saga's greatest lies. One contender for the crown might be White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, who told CNN on Friday that she was interviewed by Mueller's team late last year because Sanders has been loquacious on the investigation topic since taking the press secretary job in July 2017. Mueller wants to know what sort of input Trump provided. Did he feed her the sort of lies that can be read as obstruction to justice? I hope for Sanders she told the truth. Judge Jackson and Mueller don't cotton to liars. How meek and unbearable this article really is. I did a show, I did one about Mueller being a liar and a traitor. And he was involved with the weapons of mass destruction, backing up Colin Powell, lying to Congress. But he's special. We should give him the red carpet treatment, the ticker tape parade, and put our hands up, go, the chosen one has spoken, hallelujah. Please. The Russian collusion is nothing more than a monumental lie. Back it, prove me concrete evidence instead of hot air. And all these individuals that hate Trump are rallying around Mueller. You're going to be duped once again. I guarantee you that. And just for those first-time listeners, don't worry. I'm not a Trump worshiper either. But this is the most ludicrous investigation I know for a long time. And there's enough said of that debacle. And I'm going to do one more here. So why not? The Green Deal, right? Talked about it before. This one here, The Left Looks Backwards Again, by Thomas De Lorenzo. I met him in person. Very cool. Says here the so-called Green New Deal that was recently posted as a congressional resolution and endorsed by many high-profile Democrats is essentially a 21st century version of the 1888 utopian novel Looking Backward by the Marxist-inspired writer Edward Bellamy. Main character of the novel, one Julian West, falls asleep for 113 years and awakes in the year 2000, delighting in the fact that America has turned into a socialist utopia. Sounds like Rip Van Winkle there, right? A major theme of the novel is that all the evil society can be eradicated by more or less totalitarian government controls, mandates, and regulations. It is also the theme for the new Green New Deal. In Bellamy Bellamy's utopia private property is abolished and all industry is nationalized. Government guarantees jobs for everyone, and as does the New Green Deal. Education is free, another New Green Deal promise. And everyone is paid the same by the government and so employer. Sounds like, Communist Manifesto revisited here, right? Special efforts are made to assure that men and women are all paid the same. This is another key point of the New Green Deal. Everyone retires at the age of 45 with a good taxpayer-funded pension. Numerous Arab Belami societies sprung up, established by socialists and intellectuals of the day, such as John Dewey, who founded the Arab Belami Society of New York, also spawned numerous small socialist communes, all of which collapsed in failure, a warning sign that would become the 20th century socialism everywhere. Bellamy did not want to use the word socialism to describe his scheme, for most Americans considered it to be dangerous, destructive, and un-American. They were of course right. Ever since then, socialist left has continued to attempt to bamboozle the public with euphemisms for socialist schemes like liberalism, progressivism, economic democracy, social justice, liberation theology, industrial policy, Medicare for all, and now the New Green Deal. But green socialism is still socialism. The New Green Deal is a bundle of absurdities founded on a fallacy. The fallacy is that the original New Deal saved America from the Great Depression. It did not. In 1929, the U.S. unemployment rate was 3.2% and skyrocketed to 24.9% by 1933. But by 1938, after 5 years of the New Deal, the unemployment was still at 19% and was stuck at 14.6% in 1940 on the eve of World War II. The Great Depression did not end until the war was over. The military was demobilized, and the federal budget was cut by about two-thirds from 1945 to 1948. The year of 1946, the most vigorous year of private sector economic growth in all of American history, with private consumption and investment spending increased by 30%. No other year has ever come close. That New Deal did not end the Great Depression, but it made more severe and long-lasting, had become the accepted wisdom of the economic profession. In a 2004 article in the prestigious American Economic Review, economists Howard Cole and Lee Onion concluded that New Deal policies did not lift the economy out of the Depression. The abandonment of these policies coincided with the strong recovery of the 1940s, emphasis added. The New Green Deal is even more ambitious and potentially far more economically destructive than FDR's New Deal, and is even more utopian than Arab Bellamy's novel. It's called for a 15th-member congressional committee to centrally plan most of the U.S. economy. It's called a 10-year plan, reminiscent of the old Soviet 5-year plan. As with Soviet socialism, it presumes that all small committees of politicians can plan the entire economy better than millions of workers, business people, investors, consumers, and all other market participants can. This was the fatal conceit of socialism by Nobel laureate economist F.A. Hayek. Is a key reason for the worldwide failure of socialism, a failure that is on vivid display today in democratic socialist Venezuela. Congresswoman Sandy Ocasio, as she known to those whom went to school with affluent Westchester County, New York, the most outspoken champion of the New Green Deal. I like that. Can be thought as a modern-day Julian West. And upon waking from a 29-year slumber, she envisions a green utopia that would include a government rebuilding of the entire infrastructure of the U.S., and elimination of all fossil fuels, cars, and airplanes, and the refitting of all houses and other buildings in the country to her liking. Rebuilding of all manufacturing and agriculture by government, bureaucrats. Government mandates that all jobs be high-paying union jobs, government-mandated family-sustaining wages, mandatory paid vacations, enforcement of wage and hour standards, taxpayer-funded, socialized health care, housing and economic security, government guaranteed of clean water, air, and access to nature, and the payment of salaries of those
who are unwilling to work. And as she says, this is just the beginning. The new Green Deal is the road to serfdom on steroids and a recipe for totalitarian socialism. Yep, one big wet dream with all due respect. And we all know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is nothing more than a poser. Don't have a confounded clue. But they put her on TV because she's from the Bronx, supposedly. From New York. Ooh. How impressive. In due time, she'll hit a wall. She's probably hit a few times already. It'll be self-inflicted. Like I said, even her new Green New Deal, nullification. 10th Amendment, end of story. The bottom line is this. They need us more we need them. Never leave all your security eggs in the hands of the government, because it can backfire at you anytime. Did a show on that. Called the New Green New Deal debunk. And Mises Institute, I thank them for putting that article out. So check it out. And that is it. I'm getting ready to fall asleep on you guys. I'm sorry for that. Thanks for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us on social media networks if you have any questions, comments, or maybe something just interesting. If you want to. Oh man, I like to tongue-tied here. If you have something interesting you want to check out, you want to send me, please address your correspondence with the decorum. Furthermore, or in addition, you can. I will leave all my footnotes about this episode within my Spreaker page, the latest one, of course. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.